juniors and the seniors. So we're going to go freshmen, sophomores, and then seniors, and then juniors. And that's going to be the cycle for the next 4 weeks. And we'll just keep emailing you to remind you when all that stuff is. But really excited that we're able to do that and can bring people back on campus together at least a little bit. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight, is kind of what that is going to look like. So as you know, we've had a few weeks of being online together. Has it been 4 weeks, something like that? And I hope everyone has feels like they're in a rhythm with that. And actually, here's what I just want to say: we're doing that really well, I think. And so the image, one of the images there is the new student orientation shot. And from that moment on, I think we've been doing this odd situation, we've been handling it as well as it can be handled. Our teachers have been totally fantastic about shifting into a totally new mode of teaching from the one that they, trained to do for many, many years. And they've been killing it. And we just know that it is limiting, and it's just never going to be as good as being together. So, the other picture is a picture of our senior class dinner on the front lawn. And that was just a reminder of how lovely and important and sustaining to our soul it is to actually just simply be together as a community. So those class dinners were awesome. We've also done a few athletic practices, and each of those gatherings has been great and just reinforces to me the importance of being together. I think that there are, I don't want to drill too much down on this, but I would just say there are risks to staying home, and there are risks to coming back to campus. And I know that every family is going to have to make a decision about what works best for you and what feels right for you. But we feel like the opportunity to come back to campus and be in person together, at least sometimes, is a really critical thing for us to have. And the lesson of these class dinners is that time is absolutely precious. So if we get 5 days out of every 4 weeks to be on campus together, that is precious time that we're going to take full advantage of in terms of the connection to the community and the sense that we have of being a community together. We feel like we really need that as an option. So that's where we're headed. We're going to spend some time going over a lot of the nuts and bolts of the details of that. But I guess I just first want to say that we've got a lot of kind of key people who are involved in both the planning process and involved in the execution of this plan, and just in support and providing help and guidance. So I want to just give a quick shout out to our board of directors. I know that for a lot of people in the community, the board of directors is kind of invisible. And I would just say our board is full of awesome people who bring an incredible set of skills and expertise and passion for the work that we do and for the mission of the school. And we would not be here without them. I mean, truly, we rely on them for long-term strategic guidance and direction, and for all the support for critical moments in time like this. So really want to express some gratitude for the board. Wendy Salome is our board president, and she is going to say a few words. So let me pass the baton to Wendy.
The virtual baton, I will take it from you. Awesome. I just wanted to welcome everyone and say thank you so much for joining us and for being here and for your continued commitment to Griffin School. The board of directors has worked really hard all summer. We've continued to meet over the summer, even though we don't usually do that, just to make sure that we're checking all the boxes, keeping everyone safe, and looking out for everyone. And so we feel really solid about the plan that we have laid out. In addition, Adam and I have been meeting weekly all summer just poring over as much information as you can possibly imagine until we're like regurgitating it in our sleep, I think. And so just ask us any data point and we'll probably like spew it out at you. We feel really positive and ready. And I wanted to reiterate what Adam said. I think of this as a moment in time where every minute that we can have together is valuable. And if we get together for a week and then have to go back to home, it's still worth it. It's not like a sign of failure or anything else. It just means that our plan is working. And so I trust this plan that we've put together, and I'm really grateful. Last thing is, thank you so much to our teachers. I love our staff so much, and they have worked so hard with us to help make this possible. We could not do it without them, and they've been completely adaptable. And from the improv world, they've been yes-anding us, and we really appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah. I also just want to highlight that, you know, our student leadership is like one of the most critical pieces of what makes the school work in, you know, like any time. And I think in this year in particular, you know, that is more true than ever. So just shout out to our student leaders, both people who are on committees and who are not, but particularly to our student council. That's the group I work really closely with. And Emmy Salami is our student body president. I'm going to pass the baton to Emmy to say a few words from the student perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say on behalf of student council, so we are yet to get our full membership, but just a reminder that reach out to your student council reps. That's Jenna, Will, Siham, Sophia, and me as of now, because we are here to like genuinely hear your concerns. I know it can be hard to go to teachers sometimes, so if you need to reach out to someone who you think is a little bit more, you know, sees with the same perspective or whatever, feel free to reach out to any of your student leaders. We'd always be happy to hear from you, and we'd always take your advice and genuinely bring it to the faculty with as much concern as it warrants. So thank y'all.
Thanks, Emmy. Yeah, and I just want to emphasize that, you know, the student culture, we tell this to our students, and it's just true. The student culture is created by the students, and as much as, you know, there are lots of adults in support of our students, from parents, you know, first and foremost, to the faculty and staff, to all these support people. The students make their own culture here, and we're fortunate to have like this wonderful group of young people that we get to work with every day. I think this year in particular, it's like all the norms need to be recreated, and everything's just a little different. So for our students to really take ownership of that is critical, and I'm really grateful to the students for making this the place that it is. I mean, truly, that's how it works. Let me go back to my slideshow. So yeah, I mean, the faculty has been awesome. And I just want to say, you know, so much of what students and parents are going to need going forward, you're going to get from each individual teacher. You know, there are going to be a million questions related to how things are going to work in specific classes. And, you know, your teachers are there to be a guide, be a support. You know, I just know from being in many, many meetings with them, I mean, one, they have an incredible level of care for our students and deep compassion for supporting them. So, you know, I know students sometimes feel bad about coming to their teachers for help. And I just would say, I mean, every one of your teachers wants to hear, you know, what you're struggling with, and try to be able to support you through that. So this year more than ever, like that is critical. I just also want to say how important the faculty has been in this planning process. For a while, I tried to kind of like leave them alone so that they could get started in this school year in the online phase 5 form. And then when we started digging into this shift to hybrid, you know, they raised all kinds of really important concerns and ideas, and that's, you know, what is helping like kind of create a plan that is as good as it can be, I think. And their, you know, willingness to share and discuss their own like personal fears and concerns, very reasonable fears and concerns about coming back to campus, as well as, you know, getting down to the like kind of nuts and bolts and the logistics of how this is all going to work, is like totally inspiring to me. So thanks to the fact, none of this is going to work without our teachers. I mean, that's the bottom line. We know that. We're going to keep saying it. It's true. We've got a great administration and staff. I do just want to highlight, most of you know the crew on the administrative people at the school. We have one new person that I'm just super excited to have on board. He's not here in this meeting right now, but his name is Carlos. And Carlos Silva is our new facilities manager. And he's literally out in the main building installing ceiling fans. Like as we speak, he's in the attic installing ceiling fans in our classrooms. So that is the kind of work that he's doing to help us prepare to get ready for being on campus together. And he's going to be a huge support to us as we kind of navigate the weeks ahead. I also just want to mention that, you know, we don't work in isolation. We are, you know, getting guidance and support from lots of different places. We're really fortunate in Austin to have a public health organization that is excellent and really trusted, and we're leaning on them hard. Wendy and I met with Dr. Mark Escott and Stephanie Hayden from Austin Public Health, and I'm attending part of the school's task force that they've set up so that we have weekly meetings where we can get questions answered about all the things going on in the community and stuff related to that. So I'm also part of a network of Austin school heads, and I really get a lot of wisdom and guidance from them about things like this. Obviously, we're sharing a ton right now with each other about how we're approaching this time, and that's been really useful. We've also, you know, we pulled in, we had a physician who met with our faculty last week named Dr. Lee McCary, who is great in helping support our you know, training and preparation for next week. And we've got some people right here in our community who are like experts at, you know, things that really matter to us right now. So I just want to mention a few of them. These are people who we've gotten guidance from, and I know we're gonna be leaning on them as we go forward. Kristen Horton is a public health expert, and she is the parent of a new freshman. And so we're going to be reaching out to Kristen and getting her guidance and support. She keeps like sending me things like, here's what's happening with testing right now. And so really helpful to have someone in the community with that expertise. Dr. Rick Mendelson is an ER doctor. I had a great conversation with him last week, and I think he will continue to be a support to us from a perspective that's really important. And you know, yeah, it's important to keep that perspective in mind, what it looks like from the ER room. And then the last people I'll mention, there's many other people to note, but the last people I'll mention are Christoph and Diane Irwin, who are new parents at the school also. And they run sort of a design, architecture, engineering firm that focuses on healthy environments in facilities. And they are, you know, renowned for their expertise in healthy air quality. And so, you know, they met with me and Carlos and climbed up in the attic and looked at our HVAC units and have been giving us guidance about how to adapt the facility elements that we've got so that we can have the best air quality that we possibly have. So just want to say there's this whole network of people supporting us. And we appreciate them, and just know that, you know, we're going to keep getting guidance from all those folks. So this is a screenshot of today's Austin Public Health dashboard. You know, I'm not going to talk about the data here. You know, you can go to the dashboard and get access to all of that. But I just want to say, I mean, we have been watching this information really carefully and getting data from other sources as well. We're going to keep doing that and keep kind of using the trusted current data that we can get from this source to guide our decision making going forward. just because we're shifting into phase 4 doesn't mean we're going to stay in phase 4. And that just means that we could close and go back to phase 5 if that's what is required. And we could, depending on how things go in the community and how things go in the first experiences in the weeks we have with phase 4, we might expand to come back in 50% at some point. That would be wonderful if we were able to do that. So, we're going to be looking closely at how to make decisions on those shifts as we go. I do just want to, I have a lot of documents that are kind of behind all of these slides. Let me just open this one. And can you see that, the decision process for reopening campus document? Can you see it on the screen? Okay, great. So, this is the document that we use that kind of, will be the guide. And as I said, Austin Public Health is going to be key. Right now, Austin is in stage 3, which allows schools to operate in up to 50% on-campus learning. And they recommend, starting in a 25% capacity and moving toward that based on our initial experiences. So we're going to be learning a lot in the next few weeks, and we'll decide what comes next. We're going to be looking carefully about how, the virus affects our community. Obviously, no matter what's happening in the Austin community, if in the Griffin community, we're seeing infections, that's going to affect our decision making. And we're going to look at what other schools are doing in the community. That's particularly important for our staff who have children in schools. And then of course we're going to be working really closely with our faculty and staff. So we're going to do our best to share decisions about shifting from one phase to another with some notice, and certainly going into a less restrictive phase. We're committed to announcing that shift at least 2 weeks in advance. The opposite shift might have to happen quicker. So if we have to shift to a more restrictive phase, that might happen very quickly. So just know that. Okay. Caroline is sharing the documents that I'm showing. Caroline is going to share. Let me just see. Sorry if I can. You can look in the chat and get a link to the PDFs. We're also going to email all of this out after this meeting. Okay, so facility elements that we have changed. I want to kind of talk a little bit about what that's going to look like and show you some images of what that's going to look like. So we've been hard at work in the building, and there's there were a lot of questions when we were asking for questions that people had. A lot of questions about ventilation and how that was going to work. A lot of questions about operations and how those things were going to work. So let me just show some images. You can see the image on the left is MB5. And you can see in that image the media cart that we're going to use for hybrid learning, those beautiful tables those wooden tables that we had that we sawed in half and made them into individual desks. They're adorable, and they're going to be spaced out 6 feet apart at least. And you can see the brick hallway in the picture on the right, which just has a stripe down the middle, and that's just going to there's going to be lots of things like that guide people's use of spaces. So let me just share an album here, and I'll click through this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on every picture, but the front walkway has stripes on it, and people will be lining up there as they come into the building to get their health screening. There's a plexiglass screen at the front desk. It's hard to see because it's clear. Hand sanitizer stations all around. I think we're putting 12 of those around campus. We've got HEPA air purifiers in the classrooms and in the common spaces. Those are the media carts that will be, so students who are staying home or, not on campus that week will log into Zoom and they'll be, up on that screen so that they can kind of be part of the classroom. We've got conference room style microphone and speakers to make the audio work for that. This is a view of one of the classrooms. Hallways will be two-way, but single file. And so we decided that, it's going to be better for us to make sure people are not walking side by side around the campus. When you're moving around the campus, we're asking students to walk not side by side, but rather in single file. And they will be passing each other, and they'll be closer than 6 feet in those passageways. But those will be quick interactions, and that's why we're wearing masks and things like that. Bathrooms will have a maximum capacity. Those are the ceiling fans that are going to be going in, into the classrooms. Stairways in Brick Hall are going to be one way. So we will have a one-way traffic flow on the stairways. So anyway, let me go back here and just say, there's lots going on. People saw the decks that we built. We built 3 large decks that should enable, more learning and lunchtime and things like that to happen outside. Air quality is of course huge. So I mentioned, ventilation. One thing I just want to note, we are really fortunate to have lots of operable windows in the classroom. So every one of our classes, every single one has operable windows. And I just want to share with students, we're planning to keep those open to some extent. And that just means that you should dress for the weather outside. So don't come to school. This is a year for comfort and probably not fashion. So all the good news is if you're like me and you've been wearing drawstring pants for the last 6 months, you get to keep doing that. That's okay. So, but just be comfortable. It's going to be, when it's hot outside, it's going to be hot in the classroom. When it's cold outside, it's going to be cold in the classroom. So be aware of that. We will be running the air conditioners and the heaters when it gets cold, but we're also going to have the windows open and the fans running and the HEPA air filtration air purifiers running too. So that's all important stuff, but it's going to have to change the way that you dress and the way that you plan ahead for that. One other thing I'll mention while we're there is that many classes will be going outside to operate on those decks. I had some questions about that. For students who are at home, that does mean we won't be using the media cart systems, and rather teachers will just be using their laptops, just like I'm doing right now, and just like they're doing from at home. So, it's going to change the way we do hybrid teaching if teachers go outside, but that's still, I think, a worthwhile thing to do. The other thing I'll just mention is that on a very tangible level, like students need to come to school with your laptops charged because there's not great access to power out on the decks. So just know that if you come to school and your laptop's battery is down to 5%, that's probably going to be a problem. So important details. I'm just going to try to include those. So we're working on signage. There's going to be a lot. When you come back to campus, I think you'll see that there will be kind of a lot of things that help guide people's operation around the school and help make it work. So.
Adam?
I think the next thing is that we're going to have Angie kind of talk to us a little bit about how we're planning to spread out around the school. Angie has been has been doing like this incredibly mind-numbing and highly detailed effort to place classes in the largest classrooms and spaces, and you know, spread us out so that, you know, when we're going to have an average of 30 students on campus at a time. You know, those 30 students are going to be spread out in the ways that are shown. So can I pass it to Angie to talk through this document a little bit?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. One of the reasons why we created this document was, I think when people thought about the concept of returning to school, everybody sort of creates their own picture of what that is going to look like. So what we did is create this document to show people what it is actually going to look like. What we've done, as Adam said, is we've reorganized, reconfigured the whole class schedule and all the classes to use the largest rooms possible on campus. And those happen to be spread out in different buildings as well. And also, you'll note the purple column on the right. Study hall is going to be different this year. It's going to operate for students like sort of like the honor roll privileges of last year. So instead of everybody gathering in the big room for study hall, students will disperse basically. So if they can go outside, if the weather's nice, they can go outside. If not, we'll have available spaces around campus. There's lots of available classrooms and things. We'll just make sure that everybody is spread out. In addition, you know, students who have a first period of the day study hall or a last period of the day study hall, they don't have to come into school until their first actual class of the day. And if it's their last block of the day, they could go home. That's probably not going to happen too often because there'll be PE and electives, but just note that that's an option. So if we take ninth grade as an example, there are 29 students in ninth grade. So far, we've heard from about 5 families who said their students will be staying home. So that brings it down to 24 students. So if you look at block A, if you add up the number of students, there's 29. So bring that down to 24. I mean, that's going to be it in terms of who's on campus. It's really not going to be that many people. So it'll be, take 24 students and then maybe 12 to 15 staff. And the other thing to note is, you know, all of our staff are not going to be there, and different days will, different staff will be there depending on what their schedule looks like for that day. So I hope this helps to enable you to visualize what it's going to look like, and to help you with your decision-making processes, and also just to understand that we've really taken a conservative approach to make sure that the classes are taking place in the largest capacity rooms to ensure that everybody has as much space between them as possible. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Angie. And I just want to note, like, how to take this plan and make it work with all the Zoom links. That's a whole nother thing, but we're not going to talk about today. But I just want to say Angie is like our kind of master of this level of logistics. So this year is going to be a year when communication is critical. And so we kind of know that going in. I'm going to pass it on to Jamie Ziegler, our school secretary, to talk a little bit about communication.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Like I said, I'm Jamie. I'm the school secretary, so you can always find me at the front desk. So I will be the one who's in charge of taking all of the students' temperatures when they arrive to campus. And so it's really important, parents, to please fill that health screening out within the 2 hours leading up to your students' arrival on campus. Of course, only the parents can fill out the form. Students cannot fill out their own health form. So it would be really great if you could get this into your morning regime to have that filled out, so when your student gets to campus, they can get through their health screening, have their temperature taken, and be admitted into class in a timely fashion. And so coming up on the next point on the slideshow, you'll see the survey to commit to your on-campus and at-home choice. So on Wednesdays, a survey is going to be sent out to parents and students who are the next anticipated class on campus. So freshmen, you're up first. The survey will be sent to you. It's just going to be asking if you choose whether to come to school on campus or if you're going to continue to do online learning. It's really important that this survey is sent back to us at the end of the day on Wednesdays when you receive this. So of course we can have our numbers and plan for campus activities accordingly and effectively. But as we know, 2020 has been a very event year. Things are always changing. And so one of the most important parts of communication at Griffin School is the very important email of office@griffinschool.org. Like, embed that into your brain. It is your need for everything. Attendance problems, such as you have doctor's appointments or other things going on, questions, comments, concerns, send them all to office@griffinschool.org and keep us in the loop. Of course, if you're wishing to reach out to somebody in faculty or staff separately, all of our email addresses are formatted in a very simple way of just our first name @griffinschool.org. So of course you can find me at jamie@griffinschool.org, or you can always pop over into Jupiter and send us a message. It's a really easy way to get connected with anybody at Griffin School. And one more thing I wanted to throw in, this is mostly towards the freshmen, don't forget to order lunch for your first week back at school if you're interested. You have until Saturday at midnight to get that done. So of course, we're going to start off the week strong on Monday with P-Terry. So if you want that and don't want to miss out, Saturday at midnight. If you're having problems with Boonley, questions, comments, concerns, jamie@griffinschool.org. And thanks so much. And we're so excited to see all of you.
Great, thank you, Jamie. One question came in the chat about the health screening form, and I'll just answer it. The form is an online form. We're going to email you a link to the form, and you'll complete it. It's very quick and very simple, and it just takes a minute to do. But the key is that you have to do it no earlier than 2 hours before the start of school. So it's not something that you can do far in advance and just be done with. It's something, as Jamie said, you have to build it into your morning routine. We're sorry, but it's going to add one more thing to that morning routine that you have to do. If school starts at 8:45, the earliest you can do it is 6:45. You'll get a link and you'll be able to fill it out online. You could use your phone to fill it out, laptop, whatever works best for you. Okay, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time racing through this document. We've shared this document out, and so I'm not going to read every word of it. Of course, it's a 3-page doc, but there's some key periods, and I think we're really clear that the key times of risk for students to have a hard time with distancing, and all of that is going to be arrival, the lunch period, and just other break times. So let me actually pull up the actual document here, and I'll just talk about a few bits of this. So this is a good one to read through, together as a family. We've talked about some of this stuff. I want to highlight the campus hours. In the past, we've kept campus open much longer, but this year, campus is going to be open from 8:45 to 4:15 p.m. only, and that is to reduce the amount of time that students are on campus without, without stuff going on. Now, obviously, there are classes that meet later than 4:15. So for those students, then of course they're going to be here, and you can pick them up later when those classes end. But most classes end at 3:45. And 3:45. So you have about 30 minutes at that point to, did I say 8:45? I'm sorry. 8:15 is the opening time, and 4:15 is the campus closing time. So for parents, I just want to say this. We know that there are a number of things in our plan that are going to put the burden on you for handling the logistics of like getting your kid to school, picking them up on time, and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry. And we hope that knowing that you have to do this, for these kind of 5 precious days that your student gets to be on campus with their peers, means that you know, it's something that you can handle. It's 5 days out of the month to kind of handle this. The other thing I'll just mention while we're talking about campus hours and arrival, we are asking that people not carpool, because obviously in a car you can't be 6 feet apart from someone you don't live with. So I know that logistically, again, that's a burden on parents to make that work. Let us know, you know, if you have questions or concerns or want to brainstorm how it could work for you. You know, reach out to us with individual thoughts and ideas. But that is what we're asking, so that people don't carpool together. Yes, that's important. Jamie mentioned the arrival on campus. One other thing I'll just mention is that, you know, later on when our juniors and seniors are on campus, we are going to allow students to park on campus in the parking spaces that are right in front of the school, as opposed to parking in the parking lot. And we think that'll be better for lots of reasons, but we also think that it'll help with the logistics of getting to school and getting here on time and getting in the door. Let's see. Oh, a couple words about masks and face coverings. Masks are going to be required. We really encourage people, if you have not been wearing a mask other than an occasional trip to, you know, the store or something, I would just encourage people to practice wearing your mask. I mean, literally, it takes some work to make sure that you have a mask that fits your face well, that covers your nose and mouth fully and effectively and creates a good seal around your face, and that you can wear for hours and hours and hours, right? I mean, it takes some time to sort of build up the stamina for wearing a mask without having to constantly take it off and adjust it and do all that kind of stuff. So I really think that you should start practicing that, because it will be very important that students wear masks at all times, including when they're outside. There will be time, obviously, when people are eating, they'll take their masks off, which is part of why we're going to try to use the outdoors for eating as much as possible. And spacing will be critical in that case. There will also be times when students can take a mask break, and they'll just have to be outside and far away from other people. So we're actually, you know, we've talked with the faculty, and I think teachers may be planning to take some of those breaks in the midpoint of classes, certainly during passing periods, which we have 10-minute passing periods. That's a chance for people to go outside, take your mask off, put it back on. You know, we will be talking with students about the appropriate way to do that. You know, you should never touch the mask part itself. You should always be touching the strings or the elastic to remove your mask, because the fabric of the mask, you have to consider that kind of like contaminated. The inside is contaminated with your germs. The outside is contaminated with other people's germs. So, you know, you're going to wash your hands, or, you know, use hand sanitizer every time before and after you're doing that, you know, you're touching that mask. So care with that will be important. Physical distancing is going to be the hardest thing we do. You know, we can tell that already from the class dinners. It's human nature to want to move closer to the person you're talking to, especially when you have something over your face and you don't feel like you can speak to them clearly. You know, we know people are going to be passing each other closer than 6 feet, just like you do at the grocery store. And that's okay. You know, this is why we have multiple precautions, multiple layers of protection. So face coverings is one layer of protection. Distance is another. Outdoor air is another. None of those things by themselves are sufficient, but all three together create the layered effect of these precautions that make them work. So we're not worried about people, you know, going past each other in the hallway if you're masked and you're staying on opposite sides of that hallway line. We are worried about people who sit down next to each other, you know, shoulder to shoulder and are hanging out. That's what will be problematic. I do just want to say this about masking and physical distancing. You know, we're going to be asking people to do that outside of school, you know, with people who are not in your family. We're asking people to do that here in school, staff and students. And we know that there will need to be some reminders for people who forget at various times, and that's okay. But we also know that at some point, even someone who's just repetitively forgetful is actually endangering other people in the community. So we can't be endlessly permissive about how we handle that. And so the standard that we're going into this phase with is that every student will get a friendly reminder for sitting down right next to their friend. They'll get a second reminder and kind of a warning. And if it happens the third time in a day, then the student's going to be sent home. And it's not a punitive measure. We're not, suspending anybody. This is not going to be on your permanent record. We're just saying that, you can effectively attend school from home, and being on campus requires a certain level of commitment and attention and care. And if even accidentally people can't sustain that consistently, then we're going to ask people to just work from home. We'll get those students, if that happens, we'll get to come, stay home for a day, come back and try it again, and hopefully, really set their mind to, how do I do this consistently? But I do just want to share, like, that's important when we were talking with the faculty, the accountability for our students and for everyone in our community is an important piece of why our teachers feel safe to be able to come and work in school. It's critical for all of us. So just wanted to share that up front. Okay, race through. I know I paused there, but let me just keep on going. Parents and visitors, unfortunately, we're going to ask that you just basically not come in with your student and just drop your student off. This is not a year when we can have people coming in. If parents need to come in for a meeting, or if we have visitors, we have a protocol for that. We'll be signing people in, having them do an affidavit, having them do a health screening. It's a little bit of a rigmarole. Unfortunately, it's going to be mostly staff and students on campus only. There will be hand washing all around, and we'll be encouraging that at all kinds of key times. Movement within the building will be marked, and you saw some of the images of that. You saw, and I think talked through the classroom setup, which I think will be effective, although a little warm for this time of year, but it will be what it is. I'm going to come back to this COVID-19 exposure part because we're going to talk about that a little bit more in another section. Yeah, outdoor spaces, yeah, sunscreen, right? If you need it, extra water, laptops charged, all of that stuff. The lockers will, we're not blockading the lockers, but we are telling students, please try to limit the number of times you have to go to your locker. Certainly, going to your locker at the start of the day before classes and then not having to go back there between then and lunchtime, I think is a reasonable expectation. So it's just those 10-minute passing periods. Please try, we're going to basically say not during the passing period. Do not go to your locker. Get everything you need for those next 2 classes. And then during the lunch period, there'll be a little bit more time to spread out and be able to get to your lockers. I want to mention lunch service. We plan to serve, Boone, as Jamie said, our Boonley system will be active. Lunches will be delivered. Teachers and students may bring lunch if you prefer. What we're not making available is the kitchen and all the things that are in the kitchen. So the refrigerator will not be available. The plates and dishes and flatware and all of that will not be available. The microwaves will not be available. And we just saw, we could not imagine a way that we could actually use our kitchen space, which is very small, as people know, and not make that a time and space that was too risky for us. It requires a lot of touching of things, of shared things, and so we just decided to close that off. So what that just means is that if you're bringing a lunch and you want it to be hot, that's great. You put it in a thermos. If you bring a lunch and you want it to be cold, you bring a little ice pack that goes into your lunch sack. And if you need a fork to eat lunch, you bring your own fork. And we will not be providing forks or including plasticware, because bins of forks are just not going to be feasible. Now, if you order lunch from Boonley, they will send a packaged set of plasticware to be used for your lunch. But that's the only access to that we're going to have. So thank you for people to. Again, one more thing that's going to take some work, and we appreciate that. So let me just say this. One thing that's not part of our, I've kind of gone through that document. One thing that's not part of our strategy is COVID testing. And we had a lot of questions about that, totally reasonable questions and suggestions. I'm hopeful that in time we'll be able to adopt a proactive testing strategy so that we can use that to increase just one more piece of the protocols that create more safety and less risk for our students. Right now, the Austin Public Health guidance, and we've sought it explicitly on testing. As of the task force meeting last Friday, the guidance was testing is better in Austin. The turnaround time for test results is getting better. There's some real positive things happening with rapid testing that's hopeful. And it's still not quite there yet to enable people who don't have symptoms and just want to use testing for a proactive effort to go and get tested. Now, the Austin Public Health testing sites are free, and that's wonderful. You can also, of course, go to your, and as soon as that system is open and available to us to use in a proactive way, we're going to do it. Obviously, there's ways to get tested by going to your doctor or a private clinic and using your medical insurance to fund that. We didn't feel like we could require the kind of testing protocols, which we think would look like multiple tests over time for every staff person and student, and then pass that cost on to families. Obviously, some of you have amazing healthcare insurance, and for you the cost would be very low, and others don't. And so that's where we are with testing. We're totally open to developing a strategy around testing as the testing becomes more available to us. Okay, so that is that document, and we are almost done. Thank you everyone for kind of bearing with me here. Okay, here's my last slide. I wanted to pause for a moment. You can kind of see some of the key takeaways, but let me get to some of the questions that have come through on the chat. I did mention already that students can park on campus. There was a question about how PE was going to work. Each class is going to have its own plan. There will be spaces for students who are on campus to attend their PE classes. Some of them will be outside on the decks. Some of them will be, in the larger spaces that we have. And it'll just depend on the class. So we're going to have to follow up on a little bit more of an individual basis to tell people how that's going to work. And we'll try to get that information out before the weekend. Let's see, what other questions? Oh, a really generous question about, is there a place for parents to help with all of the efforts that are happening right now? Can parents come in and help us move furniture around and get the campus ready and all of that stuff? And I would just say, thank you for offering, Kristen. And in a normal year, we do a ton of this. It's like, we have the bucket brigade version of how things get done around Griffin School, and everyone kind of pitches in. And this is one of those years where we're going to have to say, like, we've got it, and kind of limit the number of people who are on campus. And the truth is, everything's coming together this week. We are in good shape to start with our It's 29 freshmen minus the students who are going to choose to stay home. We're in good shape for that, and for the weeks following that too. But just thank you to the people who are offering to help. You know, I guess I just want to say this to provide some closure. I'm remembering, you know, the feeling of when we announced the closure back in mid-March, and we thought, okay, wow, this is going to be a rough couple of weeks, isn't it? And here we are 6 months later, and I think we're all recognizing that this isn't a short-term effort where it's like, if we could just hold our breath for a few more minutes, things will get better and we can go back to normal. That's just not the reality anymore. And I think we're all pivoting to this recognition that, you know, we're in for the long haul, and we are going to muddle forward as best we can. And you know what? None of it's going to be perfect. None of it's going to be ideal, because that's just not what the reality is. But it's going to be good, and we're going to make it work. And I think, you know, I can say that with confidence because I just have this incredible trust in our staff, and the care that they're going to take in working with our students as we go forward. And I have a real trust in our students to be responsible and be careful, because I know that I know that there isn't any individual member of the Griffin community that doesn't have like a deep care for the other people here in the school community. And we're going to do what it takes to care for each other. And you know, that shared responsibility, I mean, this is our strength, y'all. This is what we do well. Like we care for each other. And so I have every confidence that, you know, that strength in normal times is going to show up even more in this year. It's going to be a tough year, but I think that's what we're going to rely on. So just want to thank everybody for your trust, and for your communication, and for your care as we go forward. We really can't do this without everyone being engaged and being supportive. And so thank you. And let's stay together as we go forward. It's going to be a year of adapting and changing and evolving, and let's just stay connected and stay together as we go forward. Let me just check. Caroline, were there any other questions that came up that we probably didn't get to answer every single question? I just want to acknowledge we're here. You know, we're going to try to follow up. You've got direct lines of access to all of us. So let us know as questions, ideas, comments come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Good job, Adam. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Thank
nice
you,
to see
Adam.
you done. Thank you.
you. Thank
Here's
you.
Thanks very much, Adam. That was very helpful.
Take care.
Well done.
Good job, Adam.
Emiliano. Well, that's Max. All right, thanks, y'all, and good work. Yeah. Onward.
Shout out to Angie and Jamie for being super awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
You know what I'm realizing? I should have given a plug to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, because that if this meeting stressed you out, like that's the solution, right? Like, go hang out with Samuel and watch Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which is what like.
That is a good plan. I also feel like it was a missed opportunity not to insert Al Green's "Let's Stay Together" after you finish talking. Oh well, that's a shame. All right, bye everybody. Great job.
So,
Okay, thanks y'all.
bye.